Alright, welcome back. Skymaster Viper Jet XXL build. So I finished the wings. They're done, or the ailerons. Because this is a three-piece wing, the flaps actually, flap servos are actually in this center section that bolts on. Four bolts, two in the front, two in the back. You know, you can leave this on. That's my plan, is to leave this on and just roll it up in the trailer with this thing on. But you can take it off if you want to. But it is a three-piece wing, and the flaps and wheels are all in the center section. Ailerons are in the outer section. So I ran into two little issues with this center section already. You might not be able to see it, but let me kind of turn on a light here. Right there is where the bolts go in. There's one on each side, and they're big, heavy-duty bolts. But there's like some kind of insert in there, like metal insert, and that thing is not glued in. So I don't know if it could literally pull through the jet or anything. But when I started tightening it down, it actually pulled. It was sticking out just a hair, like maybe a millimeter or two, and it pulled it in more. So I know it's probably just a guide. At least I hope it's just a guide, but it is metal. So I'm gonna, kind of research that a little bit and look in there and make sure it's not something that needs to be addressed, and just maybe some CA in there to kind of keep it in place. But I did find another issue, an actual issue, and it's not a big deal. It's just another thing to be aware of. So looking in here, this is the servo mount area for the flap, and it's going to go straight back, and it will come out that inner wall there, and there'll be a horn on the inside here. So it's a pull-push thing, and these things, I don't particularly like this kind of setup, because the geometry is never right on these, because as it comes down, the geometry changes if you put it, like in line with the airflow versus the pivot point of the actual hinge. And it works, but it will bind if, so these are loose, and I haven't tightened them down, and I put a washer, and I'll check it if I need to put another washer in between the two mounts to give it a space. But you can't crank these down too much or it'll lock them up. So you just tighten them up enough lock nuts so they will still, there won't be any left or right play like this. It'll just be, and hopefully it won't be like this when you tighten it up either. But you're gonna have to put some grease or oil and some washers in there to make it work right, I think. And so with the servo arm being kind of through here, you can already see the problem. So this hole, just like this front hole, is a pin, is a carbon, basically a pin. The support is here, which is a tube, and then you got the locking piece that goes here with a screw in the bottom to hold it in. But these are just guide bends to keep the front and the rear of the wing aligned properly. So, and right there they have these carbon tubes on both. And it doesn't need to be that long, because like I said, it's just the wood itself is enough to hold the wing where it needs to be. But the problem it is, unless you do like they show in their kind of picture book, it's not really a manual, it's a picture book. They use this ridiculously long servo arm, and you can see the control rod that whoever built the one in the pit actually bends you can see the bend in the rod to go over that tube, that carbon tube right there, to attach to this. And you kind of do want it up here on the top, because that kind of gives you, you want it in the middle really, or high as up as you can to give it more kind of mechanical advantage. But with my servo arms, and this is the servo arms I'm using, that's about an inch-ish to an inch and a quarter for the mounting point for the control arm, or the rod. So it's pretty much going to line it up with that tube. So, and it's glued, you know, there's a hinge block here. It touches, let me turn on some light here, sorry. It touches that. It's not, it's just, there's like a half moon cut out in that light ply there, and there's some high saw, and then it goes further back into another bulkhead. I don't know why it needs to be that long, because like I said, this is just holding the wing as it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to cut a channel, just get a Dream on there and cut a line all the way through that so my rod can go where it needs to go without having to bend something or using an extremely long servo arm to do that. So, and I may put a block in there on the bottom just to kind of support that a little bit more, but I don't think it needs it, because like I said, the front one's going to be, you know, stock, and it won't be, you know, touched. You know, it's the same thing. It's a carbon tube through the two bulkheads. So that's what I'm going to do, and to fix that. This is the typical hinge they use. I'm actually going to use these. I'm not going to change them out. These are just these will glue in like this, and they only see it. You only have about that much sticking out of the actual surface here. And I'm going to use my ball end versus theirs, because I could get away with it. I might actually, we'll see, I might actually use their, where's it at? Oh, here we go. I might actually use their metal bearing type, because this one, the rod and everything should be in line with the movement of the flap. You know, it's not going to be like the elevators or the ailerons where it changes and it kind of moves this back and forth depending on the control surface. This should be a more straight perpendicular movement. So if I put a ball on the servo in, and it should take up any kind of angle needed, while this one stays in the middle. But we'll see. It just depends on how it operates once I get the servo and stuff in there. If it's a straight, you know, perpendicular pivot all the way through its travel, I may just go ahead and use these just because I'm kind of running out. I've got one of these. Well, no, I've got a couple of these. I got 3 of these, and these, I don't know if these are the heavy duty ones that I normally run, but I think these might be like a generic version, which I don't really want to use, so I may ditch those. But I did, you know, they give you a bunch of nuts and bolts and lock washers and washers, and I don't know what anything goes to. So what I did is I took my bag of goodies, the 3mm button head screws, and I used the 12mm for the flaps. I think that's going to be fine. The ones that they gave, which I think this is what I would have to use, I believe are like 14. Actually, no, these are like 20mm long, so you'd have like that much. You know, you'd have like 6-7 millimeters of extra bolt that you don't need. So I'll just save that stuff and use it for something else, and just, you know. But this was the rod I had. I don't know if this is going to be long enough. If it isn't, I will jump down. Actually, I had other rods where oh yeah, I was going to use these, but I think these are going to be too long, so I may have to drop down to this one. We'll see. Just depends on once I get in there. See how it goes. But I'm gonna probably call it for the night. It's starting to get cold out here, and it's a good stopping point before I start installing a servo and things like that. But because I'm gonna have to cut that out. Actually, I don't even know if that's carbon. Hold on, I can't tell. I don't know if that's carbon or not. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's some kind of tube. I don't know if it's carbon or not, but like I said, it's just a guide pin hole. So nothing crazy on the mounting. I'm gonna have to cut that little block out a little bit for the servo arm. Again, They use a light ply for the servo mounts. The stuff behind it looks like ply with fiberglass ribs, and then there's some of that I don't know what you want to call that, green board stuff that they glass and to kind of help for structural, you know, stuff. But I wish they would use ply, like hard ply on the at least the servo mount areas. So big nice globs of glue there. They've never been known for their cleanliness. You know, you cut out all that extra glue they put in there and you save yourself some weight. I mean, that's just crazy how much extra glue they just slob in there. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Kind of a long video of not much, but just to give you guys an idea for building one of these. So you guys take it easy, and next video I'll kind of show you guys these put together and actual functioning. So take it easy.